Man, so you guys ready for this fuck shit that's about to happen? Been on the same number for about 12 hours now.
Yeah, man. It's gonna go. I'd say for another 4 months at least.
Stuff on the same number.
Yeah, I think he's gonna go for at least another 4 months. There's gonna be a lot of contention, and yeah, there's gonna be a lot of fuckery going on. But
at this point, I don't even give a shit. I just want it to be over.
Right. Me too.
How can we pass this shit? Yeah, so we can get our lives going.
I know. I've seen a lot of people. I mean, for good reason, like posting, like, after tomorrow, we're still gonna be friends. I don't care who you vote for, blah blah blah. And I was thinking about posting something, but I was like, that's pretty much what I wanted to say. Like, I just want this shit to be over. You know what I mean? Like, this is, and whoever it is, like, it's not the person we elect. It's still us. You know what I mean? And we're we're allowing this division to push us apart. And it's really like, it all boils down to us. You know what I mean? And we can control how we choose to react to things. But people are going down rabbit holes, and nobody's ever challenging their viewpoints. And I'm talking about on both sides, all sides, I should say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's batshit crazy people doing crazy shit on both sides.
It's a lot of sheep. It's a lot of sheep out there.
Yeah. That's bad.
So here we are. What number? We on 20? What is it?
This is number 20.
Hey, who we got here? What's going on, man? How you doing?
I'm good.
I'll let him introduce himself. People that ride around here know who he is. It's Sport McBee.
Yeah. So I guess I kind of set it up so that way I'm in the bike room.
No, that's cool, man.
But
Nice.
I was in the military for 8 years, just shy of 8 years. I got out in 2014. Loads of fucked up shit in my whole deal. Met Simon through riding, really.
Let's talk about that, dude.
So I don't remember exactly how we met, but I remember when Jonathan from Dirt Therapy Project, he asked on Facebook, he was like, are there any veterans that would want to go to Bentonville? Doing some video, doing some pictures, just going to go check it out. And I was like, well, yeah, sure, I'll go. And at that time, it was just going to be him and I. And then he goes, like a week or two later, he's like, do you know anybody else that would be not just willing to go, but has the availability to go kind of on short notice? And I was like, I think I know one guy. And I messaged Simon and I was like, dude, do you want to go to Bentonville? He was like, where is that?
Yeah, I was still new to, I was maybe riding like 8 months or a year, maybe, if that.
And it was just, and he was like, I mean, he was down to go. So we all went, and we had a great time. And I think if I remember right, when we were at Kohler Mountain Bike Preserve, man, you went over that jump on Fireline, and we thought you were gonna die.
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure I thought I was gonna die too.
He ate it so hard, man. He nose manual down the whole back.
I forgot about that one, yeah, because there was like at least 5 or 6 like good crashes.
Yep. And but it was a blast, and the three of us just had such a great time, and we've just kind of been, really that was kind of the lock-in for the friendship over the past couple of years, and we have come from different backgrounds. We're very different in age, but the experience. I know. I know. I wear fucking suspenders 90% of the time.
There you go. And that's one of the first things I noticed about him. And he always feels like he has to like tell people like I wear suspenders because I don't like belts and there's no spiel with it. But it's cool,
Yeah, I'm
man.
with you on that.
It's sport.
I wear suspenders because I'm cheap.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, so I've got probably 3 or 4 belts that I wear with, like really nice clothes, but I also have a pair of suspenders that I wear with really nice clothes too because I ain't got no ass. So my pants be falling off when I sit down.
Nassatol, you got that?
Yeah.
It's Nassatol.
Exactly. So the suspenders actually hold my fucking pants up, and I'm not, I'm not having to pull my shit up every time I stand up.
That's why I said cost effective. My weight fluctuates a lot. I don't go buy new pants. I just throw some suspenders on and keep it moving.
So yeah, I mean, I've got, I have a background in mountain biking.
Yeah. So how long you been riding like total? Like when did you start riding?
So I started riding back in high school. So 2002, 2003. I graduated in 04. But then from 2000 and probably 12. No, it had to have been earlier than that. My first deployment was in 2009, so I think it was 2011 that I kind of stopped mountain biking because when we got back from Iraq, we had a ramp up for Afghanistan and all of that, and I sold my bike just because I had no time, and I was in Kansas, so I could go to Colorado whenever I wanted.
Kansas,
yeah, he's in Kansas.
Yeah.
Yep, and so I got to go to Colorado pretty much every 4-day weekend we had, but while we were ramping up for Afghanistan, like I didn't have a lot of time, so I just kind of sold the bike, and we just kind of moved forward. Well, I got out in 2014, and I went through in and outpatient therapy and just like tons of stuff. And one day I was like, you know what? I need to do something. I need something else. I need a different outlet. Running's not working anymore. I used to run marathons. Running is not working anymore. My knees are starting to go. It hurts whenever I run. So I started looking around and I was like, dude, the fuck, man? I'll just go mountain biking again. I'll just buy a bike. So I did, and started riding again, and quickly found out that 27.5 is way different from 26. So I just made the jump to 29.
Yeah, you made the jump pretty early.
Yeah, I was not happy with my Bronson. Like I loved riding it, but that bike and myself just never got along very well. I always felt sketchy on it for some reason. I always felt like I was never fully in control. So so I bought the pole that I have, and I've been in love with that bike ever since.
That's a nice bike, man. I was looking at pictures of because I took a bunch of like close-ups of it when we're in Angel Fire.
Yep.
I just never posted them, but yeah, I was looking at it. I was like, damn, that's a nice ass bike.
Yeah.
So those be considered a mullet style?
It could be in mullet.
Oh, that one? You could.
Okay.
It's a full 29er though, but you
could. Disclaimer, I'm new. I'm still learning about vernacular mountain biking every episode. And last episode, we touched on mullet style bikes, and I kind of saw how it was tilted. That's why I asked that question.
No, it's just a really fucking huge bike. That's all.
Yeah, man. That bike, what I understand, like that bike was put together like an aircraft. Like I remember seeing just by happenstance, I watched a YouTube video of the people that made it, and I didn't know who they were, but they were talking about they're just like, yeah, we're trying to make a mountain bike from the ground up, blah blah. And then like they were like, we had like 2 CNC machines, so we're like, hey, why don't we just CNC a whole fucking bike. And I was like,
Yep.
because it's expensive, and it's like not everybody has CNC machines. But yeah, they did it, and then so they created like two pieces, and then they put them together, right? And then they
Yep.
weld it in the middle.
No, these bikes they don't because they're made out of 7075. So what they do is
Or yeah, there
they
you go.
actually bond them together
Oh, okay.
with an epoxy, and it's the same stuff that they use for aircrafts. It's actually built just like a fucking airplane, which is I don't ask
And
me,
they're like
but
really fast bikes. Like I
yeah,
mean, of course it's the rider too, but you know
yeah,
they're meant to just go fast.
I'm slow, but that
Yeah.
That was
that
No,
gonna be one of
I'm just like
you. Yeah. So do you like compete? Do you race, or you just do it for the passion and you know what I'm saying the
it's
relaxation?
it's
You know, just
mostly it's mostly just for the experience. I I do like to race because I'm a competitive guy, but I haven't raced in a long time. Um, I'm not really good going uphill, so enduro. My first endeavor into enduro racing was fun, but very taxing. I'm
yeah.
not I'm not
yeah.
a climber. I in my mountain bike when I started out on mountain bikes, I started out on downhill. So um, you know, chair lifts and shit like that. And I never really had to ride uphill. And so I'm very partial to chairlifts. And I just it's a very different climbing hills are not that's not really my thing. And enduro racing, even though you're not timed to go uphill, you're you still have to get up the fucking hill.
True. True. True.
And
Dude,
I did
yeah.
not do very well.
And I know like in EWS enduros, they don't I don't think they're timed, but they have to climb it, right?
Yeah,
Like
so in EWS they're not
Enduro World
timed.
Series for
Yeah.
those that may not know.
Uh in EWS they're not timed on their transitions, which is when you go from the bottom of one stage to the top of the next. Um they're not they're not timed per se, but they have a certain amount of time that they have to complete the climb. So say it's an hour. Um, if they get there late, then they get a time penalty. So they get whatever that time penalty might be, it gets added to their overall time. And so even though they're not timed in the amount of time that they can take to get to the next stage, they still have to get there in a certain amount of time or they're penalized. So
Copy that. Copy that.
Very. This is why I want an e-bike because I fucking hate climbing. So
We discussed a couple episodes about e-bikes.
yeah,
So,
I think they're amazing. I mean, you hear the hate all the time. Oh, it's cheating. Blah, blah. So is fucking chairlifts. Like, sorry.
Yeah, I don't feel like I don't feel like it's cheating. Can you guys hear me?
yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I'm still fucking around with my audio over here. I think I fixed it now because it was like a lot of noise. Anyways, so yeah, we were talking about e-bikes and just the idea of them and like how I've seen a couple even here on our local trails. And I'm all for e-bikes. If it gets people outside and off the couch, then
Yes.
I'm all for them. But there are going to be some people that kind of push those limits and then start ruining it for other people that are, you know what I mean? Like I understand.
You can't really regulate what the amount of energy or how big the motor is on
So
those.
it comes regulated, like if you can call it that, but it just comes at a certain amount of output and speed you can put. But there are like hacks, and then more specifically, I saw like I don't know, it was an e-bike, but it was like it almost like a motorcycle, and it was like hauling ass, dude, on the trails, and the reason I noticed it because I just when I was getting a turn from my peripheral, I could see like somebody was coming up quick. I was like, damn, man. Holy shit, this person's fast.
Tighten up.
Yeah, and I really don't like people like right on my ass. So, or like just in general, like walking or whatever. I don't like people right behind me. But I just pulled over, and then he just fucking hauled ass right by me, and I was like, and he was coming around a corner. He's probably going like 35, 40 maybe, like at least on a straightaway.
So I don't know if you guys know, but there is a new with this whole electric thing. There are electric motorbikes, and the classification of these bikes are very different. So just because it's run by a battery, it doesn't mean it's an e-bike. Well, an e-mountain bike.
Right.
The one of the biggest differences is throttle. So if you have a hand throttle like a motorcycle, you have a fucking motorcycle. I mean,
Right.
period. E-bikes are all pedal assist, so you get no assistance if you're not pedaling. And I think a lot of the hate comes from the fact that they're heavy. In previous years they look ugly because the battery is just hanging out on the down tube, just all fat and nasty like a fucking pimple and shit. But I think what a lot of people think that e-bikes will do is tear up trails, because you hear that all the time, and I'm like, I don't really know how they could tear them up any more than a regular bike. But I mean, at least in my experience, I mean, maybe in other
Yeah,
parts
I
of
haven't
the
seen
world.
anybody peel out or anything like on an
No,
e-bike. I don't think
I
it's
mean
possible.
it is possible,
Well, I guess so. Like if you
but you
lean
can do that on
forward,
a regular bike too.
that's true.
You know, and I think education is probably one of the biggest things that people need. Um, I
That
still
applies on
think,
many levels.
yeah, yeah, no shit. Um, I just I think the other side to it is people view e-bikes as handicap assistance, um, which is legitimate. You know, I mean, if you've got a heart condition but you want to ride bikes, e-bikes will help you with that. You know, but at the same time, the thing that I always try to tell people is pro mountain bikers use them all the time, all the
Yeah,
time.
and those guys
I
put
mean,
out a lot of watts.
yeah, it's a training tool. At a minimum, it's a training tool, because riding an analog bike, if you will, um, you can climb the mountain, however many times, but you can only climb it so many times until you're just out of breath. Well, on an e-bike, you can climb it 2, 3, 4, 5 times, as many times as you could on a regular bike. So what that gives professionals is the ability to get more runs in a day, especially like enduro riders. They do it a lot because enduro is very downhill centric. So you're timed on your downhills, not your uphills. Now, granted, you still need the stamina and the ability to climb, because you've got to be able to get up to the hill or up to the top of the stage in a certain amount of time. But if you can't practice your craft, which is mainly downhill, then you're not going to be able to have a good stage time to be able to put in the effort to be able to go uphill. So I just feel like people look at them the wrong way, which is fine. You can look at it however you want, but don't
And
get pissed.
that's usually like that's usually with any new technology, um, especially something that's I don't know, like that's been around for a while and it's been one way for a long time, and then you
Yep.
introduce something different. It's kind of like when they went from 26-inch wheels to 27.5. I'm pretty sure there was a lot of people like bitching about it, or just having their quirks about it. And then same thing with 29, and then you know what I mean. So, but I I don't know. Like I said before, like if it gets people outside,
Yep.
especially with people that it's not necessarily just people with like disabilities or what have
Yep.
you, but if you that's one application that can be used for an e-bike is somebody that may not have the, you know what I mean?
Yep.
The
Shout out to
capabilities.
anybody with extra large e-bike frame.
There
Go ahead
you
and send
go.
that. Yeah, go ahead and send that my way.
But like, yeah, man. So what did you notice like when like one of the I think it's I think I already know the answer to it, but I'm just curious. Like when going back to you're talking about when you started writing again, you're trying to find another outlet. What did you find like benefited you when you started writing? Like
So,
whatever particular situation you were in at that time.
so for me, a lot of my shit is in my head. So writing really focuses my attention on what I'm doing, like living in right now. Because as you know, if you're not paying attention to what you're doing, you'll go down in a second. Like, I mean, yeah, it's. I mean, there's a bunch of there's a bunch of factors that go into crashing, but I mean, for the most part, if if you're not fully paying attention to what you're doing and what's coming at you, you could crash and you could crash real bad. Well,
Right.
it forces me to think about only that which is in front of me versus worrying about this, worrying about that. I've gotten a lot better over the last couple of years, but you know, it forces me to put everything else out of my mind. So for that hour or two that I'm writing, it's just mental freedom from all of the bullshit that I deal with pretty much on a daily basis. And getting to do that once, twice, 3 times a week is very helpful in keeping myself straight and keeping myself from going down any rabbit hole that might surface, or just it's kind of like a reset almost.
Right. And
So
I agree. I mean that's the previous episode. That's kind of what exactly what I said. Not exactly word for word, but
yeah.
is you ever seen Nacho Libre when he's
Yep.
like, everything you said are my favorite things. Anyways, but no, yeah, it's I've talked about that very thing was like it. You have to be in that moment. If not, like
Yep.
you have to pay attention, like your lines. You have to pay attention, like low hanging branches, and it's just that I think. I mean, at the very high level, that's one thing that we and I've talked about like a little bit of myself too. I'm not saying it's the same as yours, but I'm pretty sure
Yep.
that it's similar.
Yep.
And it's hard to stay in the moment because you kind of just start going down these like rabbit holes, if you will, whether it's like not just feeling like right or what have you, and if you don't have that outlet, it's strange too, like to go from a place and like you, I've done a lot of work and I've gotten a lot better in the sense of trying to kind of organize things in my mind and what have you, and just kind of start reshaping them, if you will. But it's not a common thing to like be in the moment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially when you're in your head, and then so to go from that fast forward to actually being able to in real time be in the moment, and you're forced to, then
Mhm.
it's like almost it's addicting
Yeah.
because you haven't been able to do it for X amount of time, and then when
Yep.
you do it, and then there's the adrenaline rush, which
Yep.
is also a factor because the dopamine releases endorphins from working out, and it's just like this cascade of benefits that I feel, and then I'm pretty sure that you feel, and then you too, Chuck, even when you're right in the city, because you're like we talked.
I'm in my head. I'm comparing the various things you got to focus on. Like when you're mountain biking, okay, it might be a short turn, got to stay the lines, and then vice versa. Me, I'm thinking about okay, I ride mostly urban through the city, so might have to look out for cars, or people that might try to steal my bike while I'm on it, shit like that. So crackheads, you know what I'm saying? Shit like
Yeah,
that.
man.
I get it. I
Crack
get it.
crackheads are the worst, man. I'm
Hey,
originally from
drunk
DC
people walking
here.
in the middle of the day. Yeah. Oh, I used to ride in DC a lot when I was stationed up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really like what opened my horizons to ride, like to be able to ride around the monuments.
Yep.
But to get there, that's
the journey.
Yes, that's a part of the focus that you guys are talking about.
Man.
Yep.
No, like even like I feel it's even more dangerous riding through the city, or even more of a, because in the wood, like I don't say in the woods, but like on the trails, you have things that are for the most part stationary. I mean, unless a deer were to come hit you or something, but for the most part, it's a controlled environment. And in the city, you have all these, other factors like car doors opening, or people just not paying attention. They're on their phones, or all this.
Like think ahead almost when you're riding, and what I'm saying, like during the city, you like, okay, there's a couple cars. Are they gonna come over? Or are they gonna stop? Do they see me? Yeah. So
Right.
And if you're not paying attention, it's a bad day.
Oh, very.
Right. So, and then I know we had talked about this before, how you're when you ride, you just experience like even your own city where you grew up. You didn't like, and it's the same thing for me. I grew up here in San Antonio, and I didn't know parts of the city ever existed, because I wasn't ever kind of stayed in my neighborhood, and it wasn't not for nothing, but it was just that's it's just the area that we stayed or what have you, or went to school.
That's what you familiar with,
right? And then
yeah.
So then to experience like all these other parts, that of the city that I wasn't aware of, through riding, because you have to take all these side streets if you're going through the city, or if you're going just through the woods, and you kind of just learn the intricacies, like the kind of, and it's pretty cool because you're just exploring and you're figuring out different things of places you thought you knew. Makes you appreciate it more on some level.
Absolutely, through a different lens. Absolutely.
Yeah. So.
And it's funny that you say that, because it goes into like riding at night.
Oh yeah, that changes everything.
Man, you want to talk about not knowing a trail? Right. If you ride during the day, and that's like the only time you ever ride, you need at least one time you got to grab some lights, borrow some from a friend or whatever, but you got to go ride that exact same trail at night. It's a whole different world.
Right.
And it is, you want to talk about making an old trail feel new. Yeah.
Right.
It is a very different experience.
So speaking of that,
speed,
say again?
At night? Do you go the same speed at night as you would during the day?
Actually, I find that I'm actually faster at night than I am during the day. The theory behind it is that because you can only see what's in your cone of light, you don't worry about all that other stuff like trees on the side. You know what I mean? You don't worry about that because you know that if it's not inside your light cone, it. Whereas if you ride during the day, you see literally everything. So at night you can ride not necessarily a lot faster, but you can be more fluid because you're thinking about what is directly in front of you versus everything that's on the side of you as well. It's also very creepy. So just if you're bothered by noises that you hear and can't see, it can be it can be a another experience, and that's why some people go faster as well, because they hear shit behind them. They can't when they turn around, they can't see it. They're like, oh, shit. So it could be a little bit different of an experience for that as well. But I love riding at night. It's cooler outside.
Especially in Texas.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. I mean, riding when it's 85 degrees with no sun compared to 110 degrees is just
I mean, and that could be deceiving too, because like it's kind of cooler under the tree canopy, but it still gets pretty warm. You're sweating more, what have you.
It's a little bit more humid at night as well. So the humidity like plays in a little bit more at night, I think. But it's I definitely would rather just be sweating a lot than be burnt to a crisp in,
Right.
105, 110 degree weather. So,
Aren't you, Chris?
I ain't trying to be no potato chip,
Yeah. So
Cajun style.
Cajun style.
Got that Creole seasoning.
There it
Creole
is.
seasoning. So are you did you select a you're gonna go with, or is that you're still on the hunt for that?
So I have it down to 3 bikes, but really it's going to be an availability thing. Um, Not to mention I've got to get that sold, because
How
I
much are you
told.
asking for that?
So as it sits with the SRAM AXS and
Yeah, he's got the remote Bluetooth shifting.
yeah,
Like there's no cable going from the front to the back.
oh, same thing with my dropper post too.
Yeah.
It's all wireless.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, man. It's all wireless shifting and dropper post.
It's legit. I love it. I mean, I am not a SRAM guy, so anybody that's watching, like, I hate SRAM.
I don't mind it in an extra large frame if y'all want to donate.
It's still clunky. I'm not really a fan of how it engages in the gears, but I like a quiet bike. Because I like to hear the trail. I like to hear my tires digging in and all that. But aside from that, it's super, super easy to mess with. Like, I bent my derailleur hanger and I just adjusted the micro shift, because it has like instead of a barrel adjuster to adjust, the index on where it is on the gears, you just put it into micro shift mode and you can adjust it like by a millimeter at a time or whatever it is. I don't know, but you can actually have a bent derailleur hanger and still ride it just fine. Unlike with a normal cable gear, you'd have to mess
So
with
it
that
just
barrel
you
shift.
left it bent and it just readjusted?
Yeah, I mean, I got it straight again because
Okay.
it still performs better. But if you're out on the trail in the middle of nowhere and you bend your hanger, you only bend it like just a little bit, you
Right.
can use the micro shift to actually get it
Calibrated
a little bit to get it to be able to shift okay. It's still not great, but you'll be able to change gears and you won't damage anything. Luckily on this bike, well, it's an upside and a downside, but the derailleur hangers are a very, very soft aluminum, but they're much softer than, say, what's on your Diamondback. You've got that.
Right.
It's an aluminum derailleur hanger, but that thing will snap off if you try to bend it too much. This thing, you can wobble that thing around by hand and get it fairly straight. And that's eventually what I had to do, to get it back working properly. But just like with any aluminum thing, it has a fatigue point. It will snap, but um, you can mess with it quite a bit. But either way, I've got a lot of expensive shit on that bike. So I got titanium cranks and everything, and all this other cool stuff. But
if that bike was my size, then I would be all over it. Well, I wouldn't be all over it, but
do you ride a medium?
yeah.
Really?
Especially on 29er. Yeah.
Damn, dude. You're just as tall as I am, aren't you?
You're a little taller than me.
Yeah.
You're there. You just wear your hat too high. I don't know.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. But yeah, it's a large frame. So I'm selling it for $7,500 as it sits. I can,
Which is a deal because he hasn't I mean, not for nothing, but he. I don't think how many miles are in that bike. Maybe like 1,200, 2,000 maybe.
I don't even think it's that much.
Right.
So is that like?
I don't know.
Somebody pays that straight out, or do you like make payments like a car payment?
Oh, you ain't making payments on this.
Yeah.
Like I said, if anybody wants to donate an extra large frame, sheesh, that is, geez.
Well, if you think about it, so the frame alone, if you were to buy it from the factory, I think it's like 1,700 or something like that.
So this frame with a shock is
rear shock, right?
Yeah.
I guess you would say fork if he was the other one.
I think they're selling those for $3,900 right now.
Oh, okay. So, and I mean, we talked about in other episodes is you're putting your money in the frame. Like the frame is where it's most of your money's going.
It is. I mean, you can buy a $5,000 bike and then, or you can buy a $5,000 frame and then turn around and only put $1,000 into everything else, and then you have a $6,000 bike, but 90% of that money's in your frame.
Right.
So, I mean, it's all. I'd rather have a cheaper frame and higher components, because even though expensive frames do you justice, they do. That frame is amazing. It's super freaking stiff. It doesn't. When you put it somewhere, it stays there. So with that,
you put it back there and it stays there the whole time. I saw that.
Yeah. It does. It doesn't. It's just floating. It just hovering a little bit. I said sit and it stayed.
Yeah, that's a good bike.
But it's it's all about. A lot of it comes down to what are you looking for? Like a lot of people don't know what they're looking for. Like I originally had a carbon frame bike. My Bronson was a carbon frame, and that's aluminum. And that's actually heavy aluminum at that. It's a 41-pound bike as it sits right now. I mean, that's outrageous,
right?
For a mountain bike these days. But
the weight,
but you don't ever feel it. I don't ever feel the weight. Now, when I climb, I can feel it, but the climbing ability of that bike kind of negates the extra 10 pounds, because if you have the power, that thing will go up anything that you try to climb. I've climbed more stuff on that than I have on my Bronson, and I like even just around here. I mean, you know how mellow the climbs are here,
right?
I can chug up anything with that. Whereas my Bronson, I'd have to stop halfway through, or whatever. And so a lot of it comes down to design, and you need to know what you're doing with your bike in order to have the right bike. And
right.
I think a lot of people, especially these days with the choices that are out there, I think a lot of people just don't know what they need. And
especially if you're like a new rider, because like when I first started riding, I didn't know. I went into Crossroad Bikes or what have you in our local bike shop, and then I was like, because the only riding I did before was I rode a few times in Germany when I was stationed there, and I was on a friend's bike, a hardtail. I don't even remember the type of bike it was. Like I knew nothing, and when I heard how much he had paid for it, I think I talked about this before. I was like, that's bananas. But I mean, fast forward knowing what I know now. But when I walked into the bike shop, I was like, I need something I could ride in. Like that was like a probably new question. I was like, I want something I could ride on the trails, but also on the street, because I didn't know what type of riding it was going to be. So I ended up getting a Norco Fluid, and that's kind of like it's right on the cusp of a trail bike / cross country. But according to Norco's website, it's called a trail. I mean, it's a trail bike. But so that's kind of what I started out with, and then as I rode, and then I kind of people like that I rode with were like, hey, you should probably start investing in a full suspension, because of some of the stuff you're going to be doing, like you're doing. And then that's when we went to Bentonville. I had just got that Diamondback that I bought from one of my friends. And yeah, I mean, even then I was still figuring out what kind of bike I needed, because I was crashing. And a lot of that had to do with just me doing stuff above my pay grade, so to speak.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But at the same time, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and that's something that I think a lot of people struggle with, is they push themselves, and you get to this point where you're like, you come up on something that you really want to do, but you're fucking scared, because some of that shit is scary. like especially jumps. Like
Yeah.
jumps freak people out like real bad, because not only, especially when you get to the bigger jumps, but not only are you flying through the fucking air and you have no control at that point. It's when you're riding up to the transition, it's just this wall of fucking dirt in front of you, and you can't see anything on the other side.
Right.
So you just have to trust it and trust that whoever built it knows
Use
what
what
they're
they're
doing.
doing.
So like you said, you know, you're starting to get starting to get into things that are out of your pay grade, and I'm a firm believer that you can do anything on any bike within reason.
I started. I'm agreeing with that. I agree with that now. Like, even I do a lot of stuff on my hardtail, like the Parkwood rock drop and stuff, and like just other things that I kind of do. And I think the reason why I do that, because I remember when I was younger, on my Huffy or whatever, you know, just kind of building up ramps in the front yard. You know, we did stuff in the '80s and stuff. But I kind of remember doing it on a Huffy, and I was like, man, if I could do some of the stuff I mean, it was nothing crazy, but it was jumping off curbs and stuff like that.
But it is at that age.
What's
it
that?
Is at that
Right,
age.
at that age, yeah, it's relative. Like it's pretty big. But it's kind of like, well, if I could do like, so it gave me more confidence in the sense that like that was like $100 or $150 bike, whatever it was at the time. And then now I'm doing it on a $1,500 bike, so to speak, with my hardtail. Or it was like, anyways, I'm like, the engineering has to be a lot better, so I have more confidence. And I believe that that's where it's huge to have confidence in what you're writing too. So I think it's important to work on your own and then learn how it's like, mess with it, tweak it and stuff like that and get to know it. Because for me, that's what's giving me a lot of confidence is me trusting my gear, if you will,
Yep.
and that gives you a lot of confidence as well. But yeah, so I mean, as you were talking about, like as you were talking about the jumps and stuff, I was remembering that endo that you're talking about. I wrote it for a little bit. I was kind of like, I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, you were riding it, but then at the bottom of that transition, when it started to actually flatten out, I think you were just
I actually ended up into the leaves and stuff. It was a soft landing.
Yeah,
it was really soft.
Yeah,
but the one on Shrine Train, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Shrine Train. It's in Bentonville, Arkansas, and what it is maybe like a 3.5, 4 foot drop off of Skinny. And so a Skinny is just like maybe like 2 feet of wood, and you just ride it and then it goes off into a drop, and then the drop kind of goes in between trees, yada yada. But at the bottom of that there's a rock garden, and I was coming in way too hot. And I lost it, and I went over the bars, and luckily, I don't know if like on this buying spree that I was on when I first started riding, because I was crashing a lot. I was like, I need to invest in safety gear if I'm gonna continue to do this. So I had a roost plate, Alpine Star roost plate, and I still wear that like during races. And it actually saved me this last race because when I got up, it was like, I think it was Adrian I was talking to, and he was like, "Hey man, like I'm glad you're wearing that chest plate because my jersey, my dirt therapy jersey was like torn on the back, so I couldn't imagine like it would have been insult to injury." But I bought that. I had elbow pads. I mean, it looked like I was going into a gladiator, combat or something. But all that stuff has saved me, and it's allowed me to kind of, push those limits, if you will. But yeah, man, it's crazy, but
So I want to touch on that for a second. So a lot of people ride with minimal protection. So whether that be gloves and knee pads and a helmet, whatever you want to call it. I also hear sometimes, it's very rare, but I hear, some jeering happen whenever you see somebody show up with like a full kit, like
right.
they got the chest protector, they got the shoulder pads, they got the elbow pads, the wrist guards, and
to me, I think if that makes you feel safe enough to be able to do some of the things that you want to try, then you need to do it. Because I know for me, I prefer to wear less. I'm I'm a cautious rider. Um, some people, like, I could be a lot faster, but I'm usually too cautious on, especially on new trails. And it's. I think if I wore more stuff, if I wore more protection, I'd probably feel a little bit better about it. But I think that some people have this fear of being overdressed, and personally, I think it's bullshit. I mean, if you need to wear a full on jacket to those, I don't know, Fox makes one, and I think Troy Lee makes one too, but it's just a full on jacket of nothing but shoulders, elbows, chest and back and all
Yeah,
that.
I've seen those before.
Yeah,
And
they're
they
expensive
look,
as shit.
yeah, but they look like, I mean, legit. You know what I mean? Like if I don't know.
And
Sometimes
everybody is taking their training wheels off at different points in time of their life. Like,
Yep.
I mean, I don't know anybody that started riding their bike without training wheels, unless they're just superhuman. I don't personally.
And if you look back in history and you look at Josh Bender, if you don't know who he is, look him up. That dude wore full kit all the time. Because, I mean, granted, he was literally doing 60-foot drops off of cliffs, but it's the point.
I would love to get there one day, where I can just. I'm not talking about doing a backflip off of a 60 foot, but if I could
see Bender,
cool.
the problem with that though is there's almost no way to survive that. I mean, you literally explode at the bottom. I mean, Bender already proved that, and he's paying for it now. I mean, he's what, in his 50s, and he's doing trail work. He does guiding now, and I mean, the dude is just fucked. I mean, like,
shredded his body.
Oh yeah, and his brain, and
yeah, that'd be my main concern is my head. Well, that's not totally true, but go ahead.
I mean, mine's already fucked, so I can't really go too much further. But
right.
he he was a pioneer. He was a pioneer in the free ride world, and he did things that nobody else would even think to attempt, and that's what made him who he is. And you pay for that over time, but the idea is if you feel you need to wear that stuff, fucking wear it. Nobody's
right.
No one's people might make fun of you, like, in a joking way, but no one's ever gonna fucking be like, oh, you're stupid, it's you don't need all of that. Well,
look at you wearing the seatbelt. You're stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It just because other people feel a certain way, but that's the way it is with anything. I mean, we could take the wheel size debate, for example.
Hey, keep talking. I gotta use the restroom. Good. Keep talking.
So, there's the wheel size debate. People all the time, 27.5 or 29 or hell, 26 ain't dead. I mean, it's still a thing, and it's not about it's all about personal preference, and that's what I love about mountain biking. Everybody can do their own thing, their own way, in their own time, and no one's gonna hate you for it.
Yeah, because and that's what that's one thing I like. It's like a culture. It's like a lifestyle. It's like, okay, you're here. We're not gonna judge what you're doing while you're here. You're here. You're embraced. So you know what I'm saying. Just enjoy it, and what I'm saying, maximize like the connections. You know what I'm saying. Like you and Simon got a connection going, and that stuff builds, man. And that relationship like that, that helps life.
Yeah, it does. Because I know, like, I can call Simon whenever I need to. I know I can do that. It doesn't matter what's going on. He might not always be able to, like, come help or whatever, but I know that I can call him. And other than riding, he and I have, like, we have a lot in common, but
aside from the riding, you know, I mean, we lead very different lifestyles, you know, but I know that at any point in time, I can give him a call, and that's it's not even just the veteran thing either. It's just a mountain biking thing. Like we have friends in common through riding, and you know, I can call them and be like, hey man, you know, I need help with this, and they're like, yeah, sure, whatever, you know, and it's like you said, it's a community that is here to help other people. Yeah, we make a lot of jokes. I mean, mountain bikers are definitely the hair metal band people of
Yeah.
of the
What,
riding world. But
Yep.
what's your call sign? Or what's your nickname? Your riding name?
Sport McBee.
So we
Yeah.
call we I think going back to the veteran thing, or maybe just people getting hit in the head a lot. I don't know. Um, like the names kind of like changed a little bit. Like we were calling Sport McBee, and then it went from that to like Sporty Spice because we would like forget, or maybe it was just said one time in Bentonville. So it's kind of like a bunch of different names that we.
Yep.
But yeah, the mountain biking, like, so if you think of the different classifications of riding, if you wanted, like, break them up, there's like roadies, which is everybody that rides on the road. There's and then mountain bikers, you know what I mean? And then there's,
You're an urban rider. You're not a roadie. You're just a urban
yeah.
rider.
Like I do trails. I do a lot of trail, like paved trails though.
Yeah.
So
So
like, yeah, roadies is like the full on lycra, like the spandex stuff, and like they're like on going like for speed and miles and stuff. But they just have a different mindset. I think maybe that's what it has to do with they're constantly like in competition with each other
yeah.
or with themselves, and when they try to bring that over, like to, because a lot of them are starting to come over from like being road bikers to mountain biking or gravel bikes or anything like that, and they kind of bring that same mentality.
The people with the shoes that click
Yeah,
into the
well, that's in
those
mountain biking too, but yeah, but
Not
that
quite the same, but it's the same principle, but it's not quite the same.
with the
For
painted workout outfit. It looked like a painted bodysuit. Yeah.
right, and
See
like
the
a lot of them, you'll see like a lot of mountain bikers will pass by each other and be like, "Hey, what's up, man?" Whatever. Or like if they're broken down, like, "Hey, man, you good? You need help or whatever." But then the mindset from the roadie is kind of like, fend for yourself. Kind of, you try to tell them hi, they just ignore you and just keep going by. I actually saw in a post in one of the community groups that there was a guy in South African. Did you read that where he actually pushed one of the he like pushed him, like, not pushed him, but there was a mountain biker on the road or the greenway or something, and he was like antagonizing him, like
I
catching up
heard
to him.
about that. I heard about that. I didn't
Yeah, and
really
ended
read
up
into
pushing
it.
him off the roadway. And I was like, that's some bullshit, man. Like, that dude would got his ass whooped. That's probably why he didn't stick around.
Uh,
yeah.
But
yeah.
it's just like bullshit like that. It's like, dude, really? Like, you're gonna bring that kind of stuff over to, like, if you're doing that on your hobby, I can't imagine what you do at work and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, real life, yeah. But as far as like the urban ride, I just something popped up. I was crossing the bridge one time to go from one part of town to another part of town, and I seen a person staggering on the bridge walking, and another rider came by me and crossed him, and we always acknowledge each other. He's like, "Hey man, watch out for that guy. He's pretty wasted and he's talking to himself." So we notify each other of hazards and stuff. We speak and give people heads up, like, hey, might be some glass up there or something like that. We do stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it
that's
gets,
cool.
yeah,
And I feel that, like, if we were roadies, maybe they would, you know what I mean? That community kind of helps each other. But when they come over, I don't know if there's like a line, like a wall there, what have you. They just don't like non bikers or vice versa. I really don't know.
it might be
But
an unknown. It might be an unknown. It might be both ways. They might think you guys don't like them, and they might think you guys, vice
yeah,
versa.
and
Yeah, I don't know.
that's not. I mean, I think in general we like talk trash, just like, in general, just not necessarily like out of anger unless stuff like that happens with the guy pushing the other guy off the road and stuff. Um, but for the most part, I feel that we do it just to mess around or what have you. And just like with anything, some people take it too serious, and vice versa on either side. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Don't be a pussy.
Yeah.
The famous saying, just send it. That's, you know,
Yeah. I say that in my mind, I guess, too many times. Like
it, it,
people.
I feel like it's one of those things that like you say it not to entice somebody to do something they don't want to do, but to help give them confidence in doing it. Um, but it has become a very it's had some negative connotations to it recently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's been people out there that
Yeah, I was about to say how so. I'm just
like
curious.
I just the way that I look at it. I'm not saying that everybody does it this way, but I've seen people that like knowingly have somebody that doesn't like a new rider, right? You're new to the trails, whatever, right? And the guy that you're riding with is just literally is just like, man, just send it, you'll be fine. And then next thing you know, you're picking yourself up off the floor with a broken hand, with I mean, whatever, a broken bike, shit. I mean,
Yeah.
new riders don't
The
necessarily.
difference with me though, I was telling myself, like, just go.
Yeah.
And I talked about this in one of the last ones, but I feel like the camera played into that. Like there was people with cameras,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know. At the last second, my ego took over. It was like, hey man, like just send it. And I cased the fuck out of it. And long story short, here I am. I mean, there was a lot of other things that led up to that, and I still need to put that together. But I'm not necessarily, but just because I was going to create a video so other people don't, do the same dumb shit that I did. I just, anywho, but yeah, you're right. It can either come externally from somebody else or it can come internally.
Yep.
And those are things that I feel that is part of the learning process.
Yep.
That I feel like these injuries, whether they be severe or not, are kind of like parts of the progression of it. Like, because there's also a mind like that's one thing I learned about racing is there's a mental aspect of it also. Like, and yeah, I thought initially on the surface it was just about nerves and how to prepare, but there's a lot more than that. Like, there's a lot more of like you like pushing yourself on stuff that you normally wouldn't push because your ego is kind of like, no, you can do that, you can do that, and then it comes up to it, and you decide at the last second whether to do it or not, and then you only have so many runs and like yada yada. But there's a whole like other side of the house of it of the mental game. But yeah, man. So yeah, sending it is can be external or internal, and I don't know which one's. Maybe the internal one's probably the worst if you don't listen to your.
If you have a no fucks given attitude, the internal side can be way worse than the external side.
And that's it's a perfect segue. So that's I thought I learned my lesson, right?
Yeah.
Because that is my problem. Like have I have that issue where I'm just like, I'm pushing through it. You know what I mean? But yesterday, I went on my first ride, right? It was kind of like my first. Hey, take it easy there. There's Lotus. She's on the couch with me. So we went on our first ride yesterday. It was kind of like my first slash last ride because I put in my Diamondback out for sale. So I just rode it just to make sure. Well, one, I was like, I didn't want to have to put grips on my Norco. So, anyways,
I heard you talking about that the other yesterday.
yeah. So when I was talking to you yesterday, we were about to go for a ride, and
I don't have any grips
since I'm
for
selling my Norco, I had when I was taking off grips and swapping stuff out and stuff. Um, there's so long story short, there's no grips on my Norco, so I was like, I don't have to put grips on my Norco, so I took the Diamondback because we're supposed to be on the Greenway, right? And it was like a nice easy ride. We only have an hour because Sandy was in school, and she had to sign back in at 1. But anyways, we'll go riding right on the greenway, and I'm filling out my hand and trying to because I can't really fully grab the bar yet all the way, so it's kind of like half on, like from here over I can grab, but like over here I got this pinky, like, Doctor Evilish, you know. So because I'm still working on the mobility on that, but we went riding, and then like Sandy was on her full suspension, the Canfield, and I wanted her to go off the trails, so I just ended up on the trails. And afterwards, she was like, "I didn't think you were gonna do that. I don't think that was smart." And like, I was like, in my head, I'm like, "You dumbass! Like, you still didn't learn your lesson." And I wasn't like jumping off stuff or nothing, but I was going over like riding over rock gardens and roots and stuff like that. So yeah, man.
Oh my god, dude.
I know.
What time are you going out today?
Probably not today. I got to work on. I got to do some adulting today. Like paying bills and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I gotta go to work later today, and I'm not happy about it.
Yeah.
Going playing, going riding today. It's supposed to be about 75 here in KC, so I'm gonna go for a ride.
Ooh.
Just be careful, man. I mean, I feel like some people are kind of out there just looking to fight. You know.
Urban ride, but we have woodland tools with us, so we're all right.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I think like I haven't been on the bike, and this next weekend will be the 4th weekend in a row, so almost an entire month that I haven't ridden. I've been trying to figure out what the hell's going on with me. Whenever I ride, these last couple of months, I've had these gnarly headaches. Like, I mean, I can't get anything done the rest of the day. So I've been trying to get the VA to get me some a neurologist referral and all that. Finally have an appointment on Monday. Whew. But it's been tough not riding. I've been finding other ways to kind of mellow out. One of those video games. You get in this zone where it's kind of like riding, but you get in this zone where you're just not paying attention to anything else. You're just focusing on what you're doing, and you don't think about anything else. And
That's one thing I've been doing for physical therapy. Like I'm kind of just trying to find more fun ways, more functional ways to like
use your hand.
Use my hand, and video games is one of them. But I'm kind of just.
Yeah.
There you go. Ambidextrous.
You didn't know it was ambidextrous, did you?
There you go.
But
I
yeah.
know it's like the last one I was talking about, and I was trying to talk about like the suspension fork or what have you, and I was doing this number.
Goes up and down like
yeah, you're just like, what are you doing over there? I was like, damn, I walked right into that one.
I don't know, man. That could be like like a new relationship you can start. You know what I'm saying? It could be something new, introduce. You know what I'm saying? Like, have you ever heard of the stranger?
I have. On occasion.
Yeah. So instead of putting your hand to sleep, it's just a new feeling. So look at that.
Yeah. So video games. So video games, huh?
Yeah,
What? So what?
Nah, but I feel what you're saying, man. Like, different outlets to focus. Like
yeah.
I write, I do poetry and I write, you know what I'm saying? And that helps me just escape. And that's, focus, and I'm locked in. And that's, nothing else around me. Like I could write in a public space with a room full of people. And I'm paying attention to what I'm focused on or writing. And then it's like you block everything else out. And it's like I totally get it, man. I choose a lot of different outlets. Like so.
Yeah.
And we spoke yesterday for a little bit. Freaking notice. We and that's what I was talking about was that learning like different like tools, like having like in the military they talked about use this tool and put it in your toolbox. It was always like, oh god, this thing again.
So
and
gay.
yeah, you hear all these different things, and you're just like, oh fuck, not this thing again, you know. And but after a while, like once it kind of clicks with you, and you kind of just accept it, like it's just an analogy. And going through like different programs and like learning these different outlets, if you will. So it'd be like drawing or painting, or and it sounds trivial, like and it's kind of like, well, I really don't think that's gonna work, or I don't want the perception that I'm gonna look, you know, gay, if you will, or whatever. That like, you know, like not manly enough or what have you. And but once you start doing some of these things, and it's kind of like, hey, this is kind of fun, you know what I mean? And it's having all these different tools that work for you. We talked about like how every tool is not going to work for the same person. Somebody may paint and they're like, oh, this is bullshit. Like I really don't get nothing out of it. But they can also like turn around and maybe work on a car or work on puzzles, like you brought up yesterday.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, there's these different tools that you can use to kind of like like your things mountain biking, but
Prime
you could also
example. Prime
what's up?
example. I said prime example for you. Like you using one of your tools, like with the video editing and everything. Like you were
Right.
taught how to do that, and so like it transitioned. You know what I'm saying, to where it's benefiting you, to where you know it's almost. I see it as a passion, man, because you're pretty damn good at it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. And it's
Yeah,
good to have that feedback, and I trust that you're not just blowing smoke up my ass. You know what I mean? But
yeah,
I trust
no,
what you're saying.
no, that's real though. I mean, no, that's real because it's genuine. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just telling you shit just to gas your head up. You know what I'm saying? To
Right.
make you feel better. Like if I was like, ass, okay, yeah, but nah, like, and you know what I'm saying? I know that you put the time into it, and you could tell through the, you know what I'm saying, the quality of it that okay, this is done well. This thought out.
Yeah,
So
man. Thanks, man. And I really try. It's kind of like I put on my YouTube channel. I really try to create like genuine content, and I really try not to force any type of videos. Like if I have to be in the place where it actually just I come up with an idea and I kind of just go with it. You know, I really try not to. Oh, let me try to do like this other guy or this other person. And I'm not saying that anybody tries to do that, but there is like a common theme with creating videos, and then people usually fall on the same tracks until they start finding what they're trying to do. But yeah,
mhm.
video editing is one of them that I enjoy doing. And when I first started, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know which programs to download. I kind of just I ended up having a conversation at one of the trailheads when I took Lotus maybe about a year and a half ago, and I spoke with some guy named John. And this was kind of when I first, maybe it was earlier this year. No, it was last year. And we got to talking and what have you. And he was just like, just don't think about it, just do it. And like, because the more you think about it, the more you start, you know, doubting yourself, and the more you don't want to, you know, create or what have you. And then, but if you just start, you know, not worrying about,
Doing,
yeah, just trying to
start
do better
doing.
each time, try to get better at something. And that's kind of what I do with, you know, video editing or anything I really try to do. I just try to get better each time, and not really focus on if, although it is a natural thing where you focus on, is somebody going to like this? Is somebody, you know, might, and but if you go down that rabbit hole, then you're going to always be chasing that dragon, if you
Yeah,
will.
And you
yeah, but
cannot let what other people think about your stuff bother
Right.
you. I hear that. I hear that so often. Well, what if somebody doesn't like it? Fuck that person.
yeah.
Right. Yeah,
If
and
if
it's
if you
because
really
you
enjoy
can never control what somebody
doing it,
else is going to think of it.
yeah.
Hmm.
If you're really seeking out, you know, like for others' approval with something that you like doing, you really don't like doing it.
Yeah, very
Right.
much so.
Yeah, and you may be doing it for the wrong. So I have to remind myself, because that is it's not just with me. I feel that, and I'm trying to get to that place where like I truly don't give a fuck. And there are some things that I truly don't like, depending on the situation. I truly don't give a shit like what other people think. But in some on some aspect, when you're trying to get some type of, when you're creating something, you're putting it out there, and you don't really get any feedback, it's kind of hard to tell. Like, well, if, and there is a natural aspect of it. I was actually listening to something the other day, and they were talking about like how that's, you know, a very instinctual kind of primal thing is to be accepted by the tribe, and
Mm,
you know what I mean. And so there is a very basic understanding of like, is this gonna So there is, for me, if I'm being honest, there is a certain level of like, I I want to be accepted, but at the same time, like I have to check myself and be like, no, like we're doing this for a different reason. Like I know, understand that's kind of something that humans crave at a very basic level. But at the same time, you see, I'm like, no, let's focus on the reason why we started doing this. Like I would say we, I'm talking to me. Um, um, and just focus on that and really just create what you want and move forward with it. And if you didn't create it the way you wanted it, just leave it there. And then, because when I first started making videos, I would put them out, and then I would take them down because I was like, no, I still want to change it, and I still want. So it was kind of like a lot of like fighting with myself. You know, it's like that's not really what I wanted. Like I can make it better. And it's like, but at the same time, damn, dude.
Hey, he got that good shit over
Yeah, man.
He got pre.
Ah, dang.
They got up in there in Kansas City.
The good shit.
Yeah, there you go. So like
They got
it's
Tech
just
9 up there.
so it's just kind of like just being okay with it and leaving it there and just go moving on to the next thing and then making that better. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
and I think that's what a lot of people struggle with is the self doubt. I don't even think it's even the being accepted by people. I think that has a lot to do with it, yes. But I think even deeper than that, it's, is this what I want? Is this perfect? You know, in your own view, is it perfect? And that's something I know I struggle with. I am so
Like a
very,
perfectionist.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I've
wouldn't
been told
label
that too, even though I don't see it myself that way.
Yeah, I wouldn't label myself that way because I'm only like that about certain things, like, and very specific
Me
things.
too.
And I think it comes down to, what are you willing to accept? Are you okay with, your first video not being perfect, because it's not going to be, because it's the first time you've ever done it.
Right.
Everything takes practice. I mean, fuck, even talking takes practice.
It does. I mean,
I mean, look at babies.
communication is a skill.
Babies can't fucking talk for shit,
I
but
know.
here
Lazy
they are
bastards.
30 years later, and they're like, they're looking like us and shit. So,
Yeah.
it's everything takes practice. And if you look back, any YouTuber for that matter, you look at any content creator, if you will, because YouTuber is not a thing, but um, you look back in their history, and their first videos sucked ass, if comparing it to what they do now. But
Right.
their production level's gone up. Their editing's gotten better. Their transitions are better. It's
Yeah,
they learn from
storytelling gets
their mistakes.
better.
Yeah, and it's kind of just one of those things that you have to kind of, you got to chip away at.
Right.
Everything takes practice. You're never. I don't even care if you're a natural. Like, you're naturally good at riding mountain bikes. You can get better.
Right.
You're naturally good at video editing. It just clicks for you, but you can get better.
Right.
It
And
doesn't.
I think that's the thing too. It's kind of like, so to transition to something like going back to finding what like the tools that work for you. So if you get like, so to go back to that, if you start something and you're not great at it at first, I mean, if whether it's picking up a guitar and like just strumming it, like there you go. Not to say that you're not good, but like these basic things.
Chuck, suck, bro. You need to hurry up.
Yeah, what the hell, dude? You're not hosting gigs yet?
Hey, I left my guitar in California.
Hey, there's a song right there. I left my guitar in California. I don't know why I went country with it, but
I don't know, man. I might go get it. I might go get it tomorrow. Today, I don't know.
yeah. So like, yeah, like I don't know. not to say there's anything wrong with country. I listen to country.
I love country.
Yeah, I think that's why it has
I
a
love all
country. It
these.
has a country title to it. Left my guitar.
Yeah.
I will say, since you're in Kansas City, Chuck, that Tech 9 boy.
Oh yeah.
Tech 9 boy.
True. Shouts out Tech 9. What's up, baby?
Yeah. All right,
Man,
I'm in the dark. I'm in the dark on that right now.
If you want to listen to some real
music. Okay, I know who Tech 9 is. I thought you were referring to something else.
No, if you want to listen to real hardcore from the heart, maybe a little from the
But Tech 9 is an older group too, right?
Group.
He's our age.
I'm sorry, rapper. Yeah,
he's around our age. Yeah,
he's been around for a long time, and I love his shit. I mean, but I also like Insane Clown Posse.
Sandy used to listen to Tech 9 back in the day.
That's because
I think she started the CD somewhere.
Tech 9's the shit. That's why.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I listened to Tech 9, but yeah, I remember that stuff.
He dropped a new CD probably about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, we when I was growing up, it was obviously we all grew up around the same time, like in the '90s, or maybe not sport, but
I was '90s.
No, but it was kind of like the era of gangster rap, so that was kind of like that's what I. And in the neighborhood I grew up, it was, I mean, relatively, it was a bad neighborhood, at least when I was growing up. And we talked about this before, but that was kind of prevalent within, like, that was cool at the time, and there was a lot of gangs in my school, and all that stuff. So that was kind of what I listened to. Cypress Hill, I listened to NWA, I listened to Easy E.
What's that? Real TV.
Be Real TV.
Yeah, he has a YouTube channel. I watch that sometimes.
I don't think I've seen that one. Yeah. Be Real TV.
Yeah.
So I listen to like a lot of that music, and it's still like in my playlist and stuff on Pandora, like a bunch of different stations, and that's like one of them. Actually, I just made like a reel on Instagram the other day. I used Cypress Hill. You know what I mean? I put it in there. I was like, I haven't listened to this song in a long time.
The Cypress Hill is a shit.
Yeah. Good rapper.
That stuff they got nowadays.
Be real. Man. Yeah. Man, dude, I'm slow today. I just slapped myself in the back of the head, man. I don't know, because I hear some of these names. I'm like, well, I don't know if somebody else.
Shit, you been smoking my shit.
Man, that's how strong it is, man. It's coming through the ether. Coming out my mic.
Straight into the nostrils.
The old nostrils.
But yeah, music is another good outlet if you have the right frame of mind for that, for whatever you're looking for. Like a lot of people listen to the music that I listen to, and they're like,
right.
What? Like, it's not. It's about the music. The lyrics a lot of times are not what you think, because metal's very screamy, and it's you can't really understand.
You listen to like Mastodon and.
Oh no! I listen to like no.
I used to listen to System of a Down.
So
deployments.
Metal has, as a genre, metal is very diverse. There's lots of different types. My favorite type is metalcore, and it's kind of like punk bands that play metal music. And if you ever listen to like A Day to Remember, they're one of my favorite bands, and it's very punk, but it's very metal all at the same time, and it's
almost like ska music, but with just different genres of music, right? Like with ska being like there's different instruments, but it's in this sense it's more like disciplines of music or what have you.
And a lot of people think that metal is like devil music and shit like that. It's like some of it, yeah, sure. Death metal is pretty.
That's pretty broad spectrum, though. Like
Oh
if
yeah.
you were to say the devil, like devil music, that would be like, I mean, you can some forms of rap, some forms, anything
Yep.
is like you know what I mean. It could be classified as that. I mean,
But the
whether
thing,
it is or isn't.
Music.
yep.
What's that?
So people say Tech Nine is devil music, like he's a devil worshiper.
Yeah, which is horseshit. If you've ever met the guy,
Yeah,
he's just
Never met
about
him.
peace, love,
and
and
he's
fucking
cool. He's cool. I met him one time face to face. He's cool as hell.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. The first chords, I looked it up. The first chords sound like something I would listen to. A Day to Remember. I'm
Yep.
throwing that in the truck. That's what we're listening to
Yep.
today.
I'm
Appreciate that.
telling
I
you.
love music, man.
I'm telling you, man. Like it's
I'm gonna
it.
check him out too.
I've got. There's. It's not just about. It's what about. It's for me. Music is about.
I'll be right back. I
What?
gotta use the restroom again.
Yeah.
God dang. Man, what are you? 80?
Hey, I got a baby bladder. I'll be the first to admit it. I know I got a baby.
It's just
Time.
coffee, man. It's just going through me, man.
Oh man.
Yeah, this carriage
But
helped me out this morning though.
yeah, like the thing for me, like with music specifically, is it's what connects to you. It's like it's not just about do you agree with the lyrics? Do you like the way the instruments are played? It's does it connect to you at all? Like, do you feel like you can relate to whatever the music is playing? Because for me, like I used to play bass guitar way back in the day, and
What?
yeah,
That's what's up.
and I liked guys like Les Claypool from Primus, Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers, stuff like that. Very technical bass stuff, but even though that's what I like to play, it's not really what I like to listen to,
Mm-hmm.
and
You say you like to
because
listen to Michael Bublé?
I mean, who doesn't? He's
It
got
depends on what time it is.
he's got the
Hey, I don't
coolest
judge, man.
name on the planet, man. Buble. I mean, you got boob and lay all in the same word. Like,
All at the same damn time.
Dang, I never thought
but
about it that way. Blue Bublé.
but
There you go.
but it's like for me, even though that's what I like to play, like that's the kind of music I like to play. It's not what I like to listen to. Like I love Les Claypool. I love Primus. Don't get it wrong, but I don't like Hot Chili Peppers. They're just not my style of music.
I
But
like
I
Yeah.
love
Primus. I
I
like Red
love
Hot Chili Peppers.
and I
Maybe
love
some of
the
the older
way
stuff. But go
I
ahead.
love the way that Flea plays his bass, and that. So for me, as a former bassist, that's what I like about it. But I'm not gonna sit down and listen to a Red Hot Chili Peppers album. I just, I'm just not. And I'd rather listen to something that other people are just gonna like hear and they're, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like, oh, he's
You know,
worshiping the devil.
I've been wanting to learn bass, man.
it can span from jazz with no words to Latin music, and like you were saying, music speaks to you. I can't even make it up. I wish I had cameras sometimes to where I could be literally listening to a song and the artist could be saying something, and that particular word what he's saying is going on right now in my life.
Yep.
Like he could be saying, I pulled up at the red light, and then it's a FedEx truck that goes by, and that shit literally will be fucking happening. I'm
And
like,
you're like,
that's why I like this song. Oh, put it in my
It's like
playlist.
it's like they're
Man, you
narrating your life.
huh?
You ever seen that movie Stranger Than Fiction?
No.
I
It's
have,
with Will Ferrell, but it's so when you said that literally happening, that's what happens in the movie. Like it just starts out with
Yes,
some guy.
he can have because he was
Yeah,
saying in his mind, and then this shit would.
yeah. So that's what I thought about when you said that it's Stranger Than Fiction.
Yeah.
He's like, and
Hey,
today he's
however,
gonna die.
hey, however, with that though, man, like I'm in a good space right now, of, like positive energy, and like seeking out goals and telling myself and writing down what I want to accomplish. Man, I'm knocking the motherfuckers out the ballpark, man.
That's
Like,
good, man.
that's
That's
good.
good. You got to capitalize when you're in that state of flow.
man, yeah. So like, got a new job, got my business started, about to get this new house, man. I'm just pow, pow, pow. Like
That's
it's
good, man.
yeah.
Keep it rolling. I kind of hit spurts where I'm in that creative space and kind of, but then I hit those spots where I'm like, just taking a break and kind of like, am I still going the right direction? You know what I mean? I just want to make sure that it's almost like a self like place where I'm like, just all right, just let's stop real quick and just figure out like, am I still doing these for the right reasons? All right, I'm good. Okay, let's keep
Like
going
a couple
forward.
episodes ago, so you gotta do that inventory. You gotta do your self inventory.
Right.
Shout out
And,
to Ill Spitwell. Yeah.
yeah, so I was thinking about how, like, I've been talking with him recently too. Probably have him back on and kind of do a recap of where we left off last time.
Yeah.
A lot has changed since then. So yeah, man, it'd be good to have him back on.
Talking about spots, and that's keeping my ball spot going. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
Yeah. For those who can't see on the podcast, yeah. And then this
Yeah.
evening, because I do my public speaking, we have a piece called "Baby Don't Be Bald." So that's the name of my poetry piece this evening. It's called "Baby Don't Be Bald." So yeah, that was my little segue. Put a
Yeah.
commercial advertisement.
There you go. And where you gonna be at?
It's gonna be 1707 Locust. It's a place called the Parlor in Kansas City, Missouri.
So how like so when you're performing tonight, do they have the like all the social distancing or like how like is it you just kind of is there less people? I don't know.
That motherfucker is packed to the wall. People have masks on, but that
Yeah.
motherfucker is
And that's
jam
kind of
packed.
common with I'm pretty sure like a lot of places is especially at this point where like a lot of people are just fatigued out.
Well, you're seeing, yeah, I was gonna say you're seeing that here now. Like, I mean, it's I'm seeing restaurant parking lots just packed. I'm like, well, what happened? Like, where, where did it go? Like,
You got in
I,
the pocket mode. They're like, fuck
yeah,
it, man.
yeah. I
so
mean, we're what 9 months in now, 10
right
months in.
and
I mean,
man, it's been busy lately, but
yeah,
yeah,
It's been
yeah. I
like
see.
that for 13 hours.
Yeah, even as like, it's still going to continue to go on because they're like Chug just showed the latest numbers of the election and what have you, but that's still going to go on because of contesting and what have you. So, but anywho, what was I talking about?
I'm
I don't
sorry.
know.
I got
Oh,
up in there for a second.
Talking about the COVID shit.
oh yeah, and then just talking to first responders or what have you, and they're just like, yeah, it's been busy today, and it's kind of like not it's like I haven't been on a COVID call in a long time, stuff like that. And then, but you look at the news, it's like
Every
opposite.
day.
It's like every day, and it's kind of like and then also with the protests and what have you, it's pretty prevalent on local media. But then you talk to people that live in those areas, such as Oregon or what have you, and they're like, man, it's only like in a 2 block radius,
Yeah,
where that's going on.
they
But if
make
you
it
look at the
sound.
news, it's like the whole city's on fire.
Yep,
Yep,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. Smoke and mirrors. Yep.
yep,
And,
So
and it might last for about 6 minutes.
yeah,
yep. It's. I don't. I try not to be political because my political views are.
it's not even being political. It's more
Yeah,
so just like standing back and like looking at. It's like just looking outside and then seeing like what's kind of going on and then kind of looking at it's just like it doesn't mesh up and it's not being political. It's just being objective.
yep,
The critical thinking that goes in with it is just kind of like, all right, let's actually see what's, you know what I mean? And then
yep.
just talking to people like from those areas and getting their perspective of like on the ground, what have you, and just to hear stuff like, oh, that's just downtown or whatever. I'm not saying a lot of some of the stuff isn't going on, but I'm just saying that it may
It's
not
not
be as
going on
crazy
the
as we
same
think it
way.
is.
It's not going on as I think that things are happening, but I don't think it's happening the way that the media portrays. I don't think that it's cities are burning to the ground and shit like that. Because I mean, that would be some national news, don't you think?
Mm,
I mean,
uh, it depends on where it is. It's selective.
yeah,
Uh, they've been, they've been I won't say pillaging, but they've been messing up a lot of parts of Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah.
And it's not really. But I'm one of those. Hey, I don't really watch the news too much and shit. I see it. I'm like, damn, how come they ain't really talking about the shit here? Like, we had FBI agents here. Shit was so crazy for like 3 months. Like, just in masses.
So what do you see when you ride downtown? Like, when's the last time you rode downtown? Like, that would be more of a, like, you'd be able to see the damage and carnage.
It's been about a month. It's been about a month or so. I don't ride through those areas.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. I know like the well traveled areas to ride at. I don't ride through. I drive through those parts of town, and it's pretty much boarded up. But I don't ride my bike through there now. I'm wiser. I know my area and my surroundings.
So when you ride, like it's like when you see the places boarded up, is that close to the courthouse, like around government buildings, or is it just like?
How funny it is! It's closer to like prime real estate that is eventually going to get redeveloped.
Interesting.
Conveniently.
Yeah, so like to drive the property value down, and then I see where you're going with it.
Yeah, gentrification, as one might call it, or so. But yeah, like the places that kind of getting like not towards, but like kind of like pillaged and shit. It's like the lower end stores that's been there for a long time, or like people with older houses. You know what I'm saying? Might get spray painted on. You like, why would somebody just pick this house to spray paint on, or you know what I'm saying, throw bricks to the window?
Right.
It's on this little area, this corner that could, it's kind of prime real estate, and they be like, no, I don't want to sell. I don't want to move. We'll make you move, maybe, or that's just could be me overthinking in my head.
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't even know what to think these days, man.
No, and Chuck and I have talked about this before, but we just talked like how I think it's the veteran aspect of it, or maybe just the traveling, or maybe a combination of all. But we just kind of view things with different eyes. You know what I mean? Like we have a more like zoomed out approach for the most part. I don't want to say all because it's just like any organization. We're not all winners, But at the same time, we support one another. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like I don't know. So I feel that sometimes like when we see certain things, we kind of like take a step back and actually just like, that doesn't really pass the smell test, if you will.
Yep. See, so. I'm big in the conspiracy theories.
What's your white whale of conspiracy theory, if you feel comfortable talking about it?
Colonies on the moon. I'm pretty sure.
I haven't gone down that rabbit hole too much, but I have seen some stuff about that.
Yeah, and I think the whole COVID thing and everything kind of falls into a little bit of that. I don't really follow anything on COVID specifically, just because of the fact that like it's fruitless right now because it's so new that but people have been saying it's a hoax for a long time. I agree. I think the virus is real. Do I think that it's doing as much damage as they say it is?
Yeah, because it doesn't help when there's incentives. Okay, so I've actually heard biologists. Yeah, I've actually heard biologists speak specifically on COVID, and I've even heard of like forensic experts speak on COVID in the sense of, when I say forensic, I mean like biologic forensic. I don't even know if that's the right title, but they've viewed the virus, and there was actually some books put out like 4 or 5 years ago talking about like there was going to be a new like a pandemic, and we've seen like the show, maybe you have or haven't, but like on Discovery Channel, like what would take out the American and not the American, what would take out the human race? It would be like nuclear war. Would it be this? But a lot of it boiled down to a virus or have you. Fast forward, when they analyze the makeup makeup of the virus or what have you, they noted some things that made it seem that it was put in the lab. And when I first heard like shit like this, I was just kind of like, yeah, that sounds like it's too early to know that, and it sounds like like a conspiracy theory.
Yep.
But the more they broke it down and talked about like it's not being able to survive in light, that's one of the key things. And then the way it mutated or was created, they said that it would take years and years to evolve to the point where it's at now.
Yeah.
So that's where it also shows that it was manipulated, and like the whole UV ray thing, and it not
Yep.
being able to survive in UVs is because when it was growing up like in a lab, it's indoors, so it's not exposed to UV light.
Right.
So there's been a lot of, and I could put like the doctor's names in the bottom here, or actually put like a little clip of where I saw them, and they can read the book if they want, or look at podcasts or whatever. But
I
yeah,
got a conspiracy theory thought that I think that is not really true. It's that garlic cures STDs. That shit is not true.
that shit is not true.
That's an urban myth, man. That's an urban.
That's for vampires, dude.
Are you speaking from experience?
Oh, field research might have happened. Might have. That shit is false.
Yeah, I definitely I'm a big UFO guy, if you will.
How so? Like, and have you had any personal experiences like you just like not to say that like you like have you ever seen anything you're like that's not I'm going somewhere with this, that's what I'm saying.
I have never personally experienced a sighting or anything like that. But the reason why I'm so interested is because if we think about this, the universe is enormous. I mean, like you can't even imagine how large it is. There's no fucking way that we're the only people in the entire universe. There's just not.
I agree with that.
There's no way. Now,
And it would be like so ignorant of us and like so disrespectful. Not not even, oh, it's just us. This is it.
Yeah, like how arrogant do you have to be, right?
And how arrogant is that? Shit. Yeah.
You know, and so I'm very big into it from that aspect. It's not the
So
it's
the
not because
possibility of it.
yeah, it's not because I've seen anything. It's not because I've been abducted, or I'm no Travis Walton.
Nice.
I'm not
Fire in
I'm
the sky
not Bob
reference.
Lazar.
Right. Nice.
But I do think that there is something to it, and I think that it's possible. And there's too much evidence out there that hasn't been explained to sit here and say that it's not real or that it is all fake.
So to your point, and to look at official sources, Pentagon came out and officially this year, I'm sure you heard of that, that they did disclose that they do have artifacts not of this world. I mean,
Yep.
that's pretty broad
It
statement.
I do agree. Ellen DeGeneres is an alien. I do agree.
How so?
Have you seen her lately? Shouts
No,
out
man.
Ellen DeGeneres.
I haven't seen it.
Oh
What?
man.
What am I missing?
I hope we don't get flack for that, but I don't know. I don't know why that popped in my head.
I don't know, man.
She looks different, man. She looks different.
I haven't seen it. I know she's. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't follow it, but she has been catching a lot of shit for, like, whether it's true or not. I don't know. But like the way she's treated her employees and like being a diva, if you will, on the set. But I honestly feel that I've been thinking about that a lot lately. When somebody's in that position and they're in that position for so long, and then they are catered to in such a way because of the status they attain in society that their ego kind of gets the best of them, and then they forget really, you know what I mean, who they are.
Yeah.
Oh man, we can take NFL football players for example on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, They're some of the worst, man. It's like you came from nothing, and now you're this epitome of what people want, people want to be, and you just shit on everybody.
But what's the script to that though? There's no right script.
No, there's not.
No, and also when you throw, okay, there's a lot of things at play here. So if you factor in, like you're giving a 20, I did a lot of stupid shit when I was like in my early 20s and younger and maybe even older.
Well,
But my
coming
point,
back from deployment, what do you mean? You got all that money? Shit,
yeah,
it's
especially,
party time.
yeah, man,
What the
especially.
fuck you mean? Hell yeah.
So my point is, if you were to throw, I don't know, 15, $20 million at me at that age,
I'm
and then
probably dead.
you have the cameras on you all the time and you don't really have the right mentors and people around you, I can see myself. I don't know. I mean, I don't know until I'm in that situation, and I'm not justifying
Yeah.
like
No.
the characters or what have you. But when you factor all that in, you're gonna make a lot of do and say a lot of dumb shit because, and then on top of that, you coming from nothing, so you have this chip on your shoulder because you're always having to prove to people
Yep.
like why you're good enough and why you deserve to be there, and it just kind of becomes this mantra for you.
Yeah, and I get all that, and I've never been in the situation either, and
Yeah.
there's a whole lot of factors that go into it. But me being on the outside looking in, I'm just like, can't you just be like, isn't you being at that level, and it doesn't matter what whether it's the NFL or whatever, it doesn't really matter, but
right.
you've attained the highest level of your craft. Shouldn't that be enough to say, like, I'm better than you?
I,
Like,
I
do you
think on
really have
some level,
more
yes,
than that?
but even within when you get to that level, you still have the competition at that level, so you're always just
Yeah,
constantly trying to outdo
but
Possibly,
other
but you're
people.
not. But you're no
it's
longer competing.
not even about monetary. Like
Yeah,
once you get to that level, it's not even about monetary. Like you done created a brand, you done created, you know what I'm saying, followers. So it's like all these different things that money at that point, I don't give a fuck about money. What type of image do I want to portray? And that, that comes with the people around you too.
yeah,
And I
and
think money has a lot to do with it. Is in the sense of because I experienced this even with people I that I've talked to and have you that have money, and I'm not saying all of them. It's a select few, but they have this attitude like I have, like nobody can tell me what the fuck to do. I'm successful, and like they push it off on like I'm so and so, and they can't tell me what to do. I'll just buy my way out, if you will. It's kind of like that attitude they have on some level, and it's just really like kind of putting yourself on a pedestal, and it's that ego. The ego gets inflated with the amount of money that comes with it. It's common. It's like the term you hear like, oh, that person. I don't know if you ever heard it, but they're like that person has fuck you money. You know what I mean? But they can tell
Mm-hmm.
everybody to fuck off. The
yep,
best example I heard of that was like, um, I forgot who said it. It was Dave Chappelle or somebody, but he was talking about Jay-Z and Beyonce. It was like Jay-Z has that fuck you money, and he's like, and then Beyonce was like, no, fuck you money. You know what I mean? Like if Jay-Z wanted to tell her something,
I
but
had,
yeah,
I had, I had more of this money. I wasn't saying it, but I'll just do this. I wouldn't say it.
and what's funny is that there's two sides of the spectrum, right? So there's one where you have the fuck you money, like we're talking about, where you have so much money you can say fuck you. But there's the other side of it where you don't have any money and you're like, you can't take shit from me, so fuck you too. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yep.
Exactly.
And you
Yeah.
have that level of freedom and you don't have the pressure. I mean, granted, you have pressure to, but it's a lot more, I don't want to say less stressful because it
It's
comes with its
just
own
different.
stress.
It's just
It's
Yeah.
just different.
Prime example. Hey, I love real life examples. I'm about to after we finish this episode, I'm gonna send my termination letter to my old job just so I can have 3 weeks off to relax because I'm not dependent on their income because I got my own job, my own business.
Oh, nice,
Yeah.
That's
man. That's
that's
badass.
kind of like fuck you, but it's just like you know what? I'm gonna take a break before I go focus in on
So
this new job.
it's this without, so it's just right here. You just got one finger.
Yeah.
So it's kind of.
Yeah. So.
Nah, but I know what you're saying, man. It's good, man. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, man. So, man, we've been on it.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, like so. Let's just wrap this up here shortly. I know we all got stuff to do. More specifically, you guys. Not to say I don't got anything to do, but
you ain't got nothing to do. Shut up.
I gotta put this video together.
Oh my god,
Princess.
so stressful, so stressful.
Yeah, it's so stressful. But
we got about 3 jobs and a bike ride to get in a day.
There you go.
Later. So yeah.
Well, yeah, man. I feel like we talked about a lot of different things, and hopefully we can maybe go down the rabbit holes of some of the conspiracy theories. But just real quick, yeah, like I ended on this note, but maybe a little cliffhanger. But I remember one time when I was in high school. My brother was going to school at Job Corps in New Mexico, Roswell, New Mexico. As we all know, that's kind of like the mecca, if you will, for UFO enthusiasts, what have you.
Yeah.
And I do like. Well, I won't say that. I can't say that. So when we were driving out there, it was late at night. My mom was driving. It was probably like 2 in the morning. We, took off like late on a Sunday or something to get them back to school. It was like a holiday on Monday. Whatever. Fast forward, we're driving on this long road in New Mexico somewhere, and there was like no cars on the road. And we are like driving, and we finally see a light, right? And it's like way down the road. Like it was just like one single light. It looked like I was like, oh, hey, there's a car or whatever. In your mind, you see it, and it was like we're just driving for a while. And we stood like this light. It was like, man, we're ever gonna come up on that car? Like, or is it a bike? Or is it a motorcycle? Like, what is it? Maybe somebody put off on the side of the road. And as we're approaching it, where my mom starts like, well, as we're approaching it, it's just getting brighter. It starts going back, like in reverse, and my mom starts speeding up, and it's still a good ways away. We don't know. We just see a light, and it's pretty bright light. Um, it's just like a bright motorcycle light. That's what it looked like a single headlight. And as my mom starts speeding up, it starts going faster, right? Like in reverse. I was like, in my mind, I was like, that's a damn good driver. You know what I mean? Driving in reverse, probably going like 80 miles an hour. And then as my mom's speeding up, it just went like straight up, like gone.
Oh, yeah,
gone. And me and my mom looked at each other and like, did you see that? And my brother was passed out in the back. I don't know if he was hungover from partying like the weekend before or what. But like shortly after that, we had a blowout and we had to stop and fix the car, like the tire or what have you. But I did, a little over 20 years in the military, and I still haven't seen anything move like that to this day. You know what I mean? And I've seen, you know what I mean? I have experience with many different aircraft, and just knowing what I know about G's and what it could do to you if you move that fast with the current technology that I'm aware of that we have. I don't know, man. So I can't say that was, but by definition of UFO, I couldn't identify it, and even with all the experience I have to this date, I still don't know what that was. But I just know based off the current technology that I am aware of, we can't move with a human in there that fast. So
shit, we can't move that fast even without a human in it.
Right.
No.
Yeah, right. With or without a human in it, right?
Yep. I'm just glad they didn't scoop y'all up and take them with you in that ride.
Yeah, I'm glad too. Honestly.
Or did they?
I didn't have a haircut. Or did they? Maybe.
Yeah, I was staring in that light. Who knows?
Maybe.
How long were you staring in the light?
It's true.
Do you have missing time?
Yeah. That's back in my drinking days. Yeah, that was strange. The coincidence of that's like the tire blowing out, and then like having to fix it and stuff. But yeah, it was definitely a cold ass night. I'll tell you that. But yeah, we'll just leave you with that note. Little, post Halloween story.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sport. Well, thanks for joining us on this podcast. And if you,
nice to meet you, brother, appreciate you.
hopefully you'll be able to meet Chug if he makes some time to come down during that 3-week stint.
I'm about to make time here. Shoot, in about 20 minutes.
There you go, man. Yeah, so yeah, we'd love to have you on again. Just kind of bullshit and kind of maybe go down some of these rabbit holes and talk about some other things. But
hey, man, anytime. It's just gotta be early.
Yeah. I got you. We could do it earlier if we need to.
No, it don't matter to me.
Yeah,
Just let me know
and then
when
maybe
to
we
work.
could give a little. I don't know how much we really should talk about that bike, but that's a nice bike back there, and we can get into your fat bike too.
Oh yeah, the old fatty.
There you go.
Yeah, I like them fat. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, teach his own, man. Teach his own.
Like them thick.
You ever hear that song from Rodney Carrington?
Which one?
He's like, I love my women like I like my chicken with a little bit of fat on the end. Not too much, not too little, just enough to make me grin, you know?
I heard that.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll end it off on that note. Thanks for joining us today for episode 20.
Y'all be safe, man. Be safe out there.
Y'all be safe, and as always, stay tuned. And if you have any subjects you want us to cover or guests you would like us to interview, let us know in the comments. And if not, that's cool too. Thanks for joining us. Also, check us out on Spotify and most streaming platforms. Just search Crash and Chug MTV. And yeah, man, thanks for your time, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah.